Ever feel like if you're not in charge, you're in danger? Like, if you don't dominate the room might dominate you? Andrew Tate gets that. But what if the thing we call alpha energy is just anxiety in a leather jacket? This video isn't just about Tate. It's about why some of us treat every conversation like a battlefield, every relationship like a contract, and every emotion like a threat. We're gonna break down the psychology of control, where it comes from, who it protects, and why it's never quite enough. Because being in control might feel powerful, but needing control? That's a prison. Stick around. We're diving into fear, ego, and the myth of dominance. And hey, like the video before it disappears into weakness, he walks into a room like he owns the building, talks like he's in an audition for James Bond, but emotionally constipated, moves like he's allergic to hesitation. But behind the confident delivery, behind the smirks and certainty, there's panic in the silence. People like Tate don't project control because they have it. They project it because they fear what happens when they don't. Like Karen Horney noted, the neurotic need for power isn't about ambition. It's about safety. It's a defense against chaos. That alpha mask, that's not the face of certainty. It's a helmet, built not to lead others, but to protect yourself from yourself. Think about it. If someone was really at peace, they wouldn't need to dominate every room like it owes them rent. Honestly, if you have to remind everyone you're alpha every 4 minutes, you're not leading a pack. You're running a marketing campaign. Control isn't born, it's built, usually in a home where emotions were either ignored or punished. Maybe you had a parent who disappeared emotionally or physically. Maybe you were only noticed when you were exceptional, not when you were scared. So you learned vulnerability, danger, chaos, pain, love, transaction, and worst of all, you felt small, so you decided to never feel small again. Like Adler put it, feelings of inferiority aren't flaws. They're fuel for the drive toward power. So some kids dream of being astronauts, others of being untouchable. Tate's obsession with control isn't random. It's the echo of a childhood where control meant survival. It's the armor a little boy built when he realized feelings had consequences. Not everyone becomes a millionaire kickboxer to deal with their abandonment issues. Some of us just journal aggressively and get mad when our coffee isn't oat milk. Let's be honest, there's a reason this energy sells. Be dominant, be feared, show no weakness. It sounds like strength. It feels like power. But performative dominance is still just that. A performance. The sunglasses, the cars, the no feelings allowed attitude, that's not peace. That's costume. Because when you've built your entire identity around being invincible, what happens the first time someone actually sees your fear? Like Fromm said, to control is easier than to relate. To dominate is safer than to love. Because love, that requires surrender. Control just needs a checklist. So the alpha image isn't about connection. It's a safe space to never be rejected. Nothing says emotional safety like yelling into a microphone in sunglasses indoors while saying you don't care what people think. Here's the trap. The more you need to be in control, the more you can't afford to be human. You can't cry, you can't mess up, you can't even pause. Because the second you do, the image cracks. That's not power. That's emotional hostage-taking. Eventually, you start fearing your own softness. Every emotion is a threat. Every need is a liability. And now, you're not managing others. You're managing your own internal courtroom, where guilt is default and feeling anything gets you a sentence. Nietzsche nailed this. He who fights monsters must take care not to become one. And in this case, the monster isn't outside. It's the self you're too scared to meet. Imagine being so committed to the alpha lifestyle that even your tears have to file an application to show up. Somewhere along the way, masculine became synonymous with emotionless. Real men don't flinch. They don't doubt. They definitely don't need therapy, unless it's leg day, and therapy is protein powder. But the truth? Strength without softness is just stubbornness. Emotional intelligence isn't a threat to masculinity. It's an upgrade. Let's flip the question. What's tougher, pretending to never feel, or facing your fears without a script? If you think crying makes you weak, just remember, babies cry, and they can control entire families with it. That's real power. You know what's worse than losing control? Needing to always have it. People think control freaks love power. They don't. They're just terrified of what happens when they don't have it. They can't rest. They can't breathe. They can't receive love, only manage it. Because if love isn't controlled, it's unpredictable. And unpredictability feels like childhood all over again. Being the strong one gets old real fast when you're secretly exhausted, unseen, and don't remember what it feels like to just be held. You're not alpha if you haven't slept in 3 days and your jaw's clenched so tight your teeth are unionizing. So here's the twist. Letting go doesn't mean losing power. It means choosing a different kind of strength. Not one based on fear, not one obsessed with image, but one rooted in the courage to be real. The goal isn't to control everything. It's to understand why you felt the need to in the first place. Because healing doesn't happen through domination. It happens through permission. Permission to feel, to ask for help, to drop the act. As Fromm might say, you don't become free by becoming feared. You become free by learning how to trust. Real power isn't the loudest guy in the room. It's the one who can whisper, "I'm scared," and not flinch. So maybe you're not Andrew Tate. Maybe you've never worn sunglasses indoors or monologued about alpha wolves. But maybe, just maybe, you're tired of holding everything together just to avoid falling apart. And if that's you, you're not weak. You're done performing. Tell us your thoughts below. And, like the video, before the algorithm tries to control you.